Hello and welcome to this new video for my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm Caro Herrera and today I'm going to be reviewing the story of Little Woman, a very famous children's classic. I shall be reviewing the book, which was written by American author Louisa May Alcott, and the first volume was published in 1868, while the second volume came out a year later. Over the years there have been several adaptations of Little Woman, made for both the big and small screens, but I'm only going to be reviewing in detail the one from 1994. It was directed by Gillian Armstrong and stars Winona Ryder, Trini Alvarado, Claire Danes, Kirsten Dunst, Christian Bale, Gabriel Byrne, Susan Sarandon, Eric Stoltz, and Samantha Mathis. Before I begin though, let me just say that this will be a video with spoilers, so beware. Okay, so my introduction to Little Woman was through the 1994 movie. I grew up watching and loving it since I was a kid, and I remember that whenever I was gonna watch my VHS copy for The Swan Princess, the trailer for Little Woman will come out, and to this day it's one of my favorite trailers ever. But yeah, when I was little I liked the movie because it was a period drama, because it was romantic, it felt warm, it was family-centered. I made a tradition of watching it every Christmas. But as I've grown older, I've come to appreciate so much more of it. But yeah, despite the fact that I've loved reading classics ever since I was 14, it took me some years to read Little Woman. I first read it when I was in my early 20s. I mean, I did read an average version of it for children when I was in middle school, but I don't really count that time. But yeah, back in my early 20s, I read Little Woman and then I read its sequels, Little Men and Joe's Boys. But I reread Little Woman some weeks ago for this review. Also, as I mentioned at the start of the video, there are several adaptations of Little Woman, and so far I've watched the one from 1994, the one from 2017, and the 2019 one. And I mean, I thought the one from 2017 was cute, but it didn't really make an impression on me. I don't know if this is because I'm so attached to the 90s one, but yeah, I am also a bit hesitant because of this to watch the new one, but the new one just has such a great cast that I can watch it. Anyways, I'm also a very big lover of old Hollywood classics, so one day I hope to see the one from 1933 starring Katharine Hepburn as Jo, and the one from 1949 with Elizabeth Taylor as Amy. Little Woman is set during and after the American Civil War, and it's the story of the March sisters. They're called Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. The sisters and their lives are based on the author's own experiences as sisters. But yeah, regarding the fictional characters, Meg is very pretty and proper and the oldest. Then comes Jo, who is tomboyish and passionate. Beth is next, she is sweet and delicate, and Amy is the last one, the pet of the family, a little haughty but good at heart. We first meet the girls in the first volume when they're teenagers, and for a whole year of their lives we follow them as they get into all sorts of fun, enduring some testing times, making friends, as they begin to meet and think about boys, and overall their close relationships is the core of the novel. In the second volume, some years have passed, so the girls are now young women, and we follow them as some of them get married and become mothers, as others go out to follow their dreams in distant places, as others are faced with the fragility of life, and as they all try to discover who they are in this new role of womanhood. Okay, so I give the book a 5 out of 5 stars review because it's just so beautiful and I highly recommend it. In this time and age when there's so many bad things in the world, it's just nice to have this little escape method through books as pure as Little Woman, because they feel safe and warm and good. I mean, I am a journalist, so it's a bit harrowing to read every single day and write about the horrible stuff that's happening in the world. But then I had Little Woman to come to at night and read and catch up on, and it was just fantastic. I had experienced this feeling before with the children's classics series of Anne of Green Gables, and with my favorite TV show ever, Gilmore Girls. So yeah, I'm thankful to Little Woman for that. I'd also like to point out one of the reasons why I think Little Woman still resonates so much with girls all over the world decades after it was published is because not only deals with things that girls have always faced and will always face, but because we can identify with the March sisters one way or another. For example, I can relate to Meg, Jo, and Amy in many ways. Whether it be their desire to be a good wife and mother, to be admired and live amidst high society, to longing to be a writer and see your work published and admired. I mean, I've felt all of this at one point or another in my life, and this leads me to say that Jo is my favorite March sister, but I must confess that this is mainly because she's such a big bookworm like me, and because we see her desires and struggles to become a writer. But unlike her, I'm not a tomboy, so I relate more to the more feminine sisters, Meg and Amy, and I'm not forgetting Beth here, but she's just a perfect angel. And while I love her dearly, I've never really felt connected to her. But finally, getting back to Jo, I only ever feel a bit torn about her rejecting Laurie when I'm watching the 90s version, because in the book, Laurie's way more childish. But both in the book and in the film, I love her relationship with the professor, because, I mean, at least in the movie, you can really get the feeling that their minds connect, and they were just so similar in their tastes for books and writing that they couldn't but help be a good match. But then, regarding Laurie and Amy, in the movie I always felt it was a bit odd Laurie chose Amy, because I got the impression that his affections transferred her initially because being with her would allow him to become an official member of the March family. But in the book, you can see how her steady head would help him checking his temper and his emotions. Still, when I was in my early 20s, I didn't really buy Amy falling for Teddy when she had other suitors to choose from. During my most recent reread, I could see how they connected and fell for each other. And okay, as to the movie, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars review. First of all, because it's a favorite from my childhood, but also because it has wonderful costumes and landscapes and dialogue, and the performances are so good, and it's a pretty good adaptation overall. I'm sure it has some changes, and it affected my last reread because I was judging the book by the movie, but it's just such a good period drama. I also enjoyed the fact that there were 2 actresses playing Amy, first Kirsten Dunst and then Samantha Mathis, and I just adore the way Winona Ryder played Jo. Not too tomboyish for my taste, and I think she has great chemistry with Christian Bale and Gabriel Byrne. I do think though that it changes the plot a bit, that in the movie Jo doesn't meet the professor until after Laurie has confessed his feelings for her, unlike in the book. But these changes allow us to see the dynamics of Jo's heart from 2 different perspectives. Perspective that don't affect the fact that Jo chooses the professor because she doesn't feel like she's betraying herself by doing so. But yeah, again, I just love Winona Ryder's performance, from a noisy, active teenager to a more sedate but very passionate young woman. Little Woman has 2 sequels, Little Men and Jo's Voice, which, as I said earlier, I have read years ago, so hopefully one day I will reread them and review them. But yeah, for the moment I believe that this is all I have to say about Little Woman. Thank you so much for watching my review of it. Please let me know if you enjoyed it or not, as well as what are your own thoughts on this story, because I would love to talk about it with you. In the description box below you can find a link to the Goodreads page for the book, as well as a link to the IMDB page for the movie. Anyways, I'm Caro Herrera, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you're in the world. I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye!